Saludos a toda la afición de la lucha libre. Este que les habla es Michael Morales Torres, integrante del equipo de Lucha Libre Online, acompañado por mi coanfitrión también de acá de Lucha Libre Online y Universo Latino, Fabricio Solano. Y tenemos el enorme privilegio de presentarles a nuestro invitado especial, señoras y señores, anteriormente conocido como Kevin Thorne, anteriormente conocido como Mordecai, actualmente el genio de real estate, Kevin Fertig. Mr. Fertig, it is an honor for us to have you here as our guest. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you so much. And gracias for a phenomenal intro.
Thank you for being here. We're really psyched. I mean, we've been seeing many things about formerly known as Kevin Thorne as being as a genius currently in the real estate business, but we'll get to that at one point. So for now, Fabrizio will be doing the first question. Fabri, llévatelo.
Gracias, Michael. So it's a great honor to share this interview with you. It's amazing. You're an amazing wrestler. So my first question is the next one. So what match or wrestler to inspire you and how to enter in the pro wrestling industry?
So for me, first wrestler I really ever came in contact was Sid Vicious. So Sid Vicious had worked out at a gym that I worked out in Memphis, Tennessee. And he was kind of my first like looking up, going, oh my God, this dude's larger than life, kind of thing. So that was definitely cool. As a fan growing up in Memphis, I mean, Jerry Lawler was always on the TV. Of course, I watched, WWF was, a huge, had to watch Saturday morning cartoons with, Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, all those guys. So, it was a cumulative of a bunch of guys. But I mean, I think my first real experience was, actually seeing, a guy like Sid up close, going, man, that dude is big, kind of thing.
So I'm going to translate that to Spanish now. En su momento dado, viviendo en Memphis, en Tennessee, hubo una superestrella de un tamaño enorme que lo sorprendió y dijo, wow, este tipo es grande, y fue quien lo motivó lo suficiente como para entrar a esta industria. Ese fue Sid Vicious, Psycho Sid o Sid Eulie, un tremendo luchador que también fue campeón de WWE. Creciendo en Memphis, vio personas como Jerry the King Lawler, que también era de Memphis de igual manera. Y pues por las mañanas veía el programa de WWF en aquel momento dado con Hulk Hogan y Andre the Giant, pero Sid Vicious fue la persona que lo inspiró lo suficiente como para entrar a esta profesión. Fabricio, I believe you also have the second question, so shoot it.
After that, know that. So how did you arrive to the WWE? So who was the person responsible for signing you back on 2002? Do you remember your first match on WWE?
So person you kind of responsible, I was around the developmental system and stuff like that. I was always, growing up in Memphis, started on, Channel 5, which was Power Pro Wrestling at the time, or US, before that USWA. Kind of was around the system. It started as Memphis Championship Wrestling. A guy by the name of Terry Golden kind of took it over, kind of had the developmental system at the time. Well, he was running, a bunch of shows, stuff like that. Actually, Paul Bearer, Percy Pringle, was one of the first kind of to see me and was like, basically, man, there's just something, there's something about him. He kind of looks like he could be like Undertaker's kid, kind of thing, which was very cool. I'd always wrestled with Sid and was, like Sid's little brother. Now I'm Undertaker's, could be illegitimate son, except I'm way too old. And that would age the Undertaker a little bit too much. But it was definitely kind of definitely Percy. Kevin Kelly was a big instrumental in that. And then the guy that called me and told me that I had the developmental job was Johnny Ace. So little bit of everybody, moving forward like that.
So I'm going to translate that to Spanish now. En su momento dado, hubo varias personas que aportaron a esta llegada de eventualmente de Kevin Fertig a WWE. El primero fue Paul Bearer, que lo veía como un hijo pequeño de Undertaker, el hijo legítimo del Undertaker en Memphis Championship Wrestling. De igual manera, Kevin Kelly tuvo la oportunidad de ver su trabajo y habló muy bien de él. Pero obviamente la persona que lo firma el contrato de territorio de desarrollo fue John Laurinaitis o Johnny Ace, y de esta manera es que él llega a la WWE en aquel momento dado. So, in 2004, you were already on contract with the company. You pitched an idea, according to the reports, of a religious character named Malaki to Vince McMahon. What happened to that idea, to that character, and how was that first, meeting with Vincent Kennedy McMahon?
So it was Malachi. So here in the States, there was a movie called Children of the Corn. So Children of the Corn was a scary kind of horror movie where these religious zealots lived in a field, and basically they were all kids, and basically they killed everybody in the name of religion, I guess, in a sort of way. That was the first movie that made me sleep with the lights on when I was a kid. So that was just something that was, like, oh, okay, that's a cool character. One of the leaders that was, his name was Malachi, the Malachi name, I guess. Going in front of Vince, it was right after WrestleMania 20, I think. And it was me and Travis Tomko. We'd been up on the road a bunch, teaming together, doing tag matches. Basically, right after that, he brought us in the room one-on-one, and the first thing I pitched was, I want to be, hey man, me and Travis are doing great. We could go against the Dudleys. We could go against this. We could do this. And he goes, Vince with his glasses, he's peering at you, and he's just, it's just something about it. He's looking through, and his reading glasses, and he's basically, peering through your soul, and I guess in a way, and with that, it was, he looks up and he's like, well, I don't want tag wrestlers. I need singles now. What do you want to do? And I went, well, all right, I got this idea, like I was always 7 in OVW, deal with 7 deadly sins, stuff like that. My dad was a deacon in the church. I grew up in the church, all this stuff. So it just made sense. I knew a lot of Bible verses. I knew how to, kind of make it cool, and stuff. And that's kind of what I pitched to Vince. And, next thing you know, it was, Malachi's not going to work. We don't like that name. We want Mordecai. Okay, I mean, you're going to give me a job, sure. Mordecai it is. I'll deal with it and go with it. I had to learn how to spell it like 5 times, but it worked. So
I'm going to translate this incredible story to Spanish. This was unexpected. Kevin Fertig en aquel momento dado propone una idea a Vince McMahon, y ya llevaba tiempo junto con Travis Tonko, también Tyson Tonko eventualmente en WWE. Llevaban tiempo en la carretera trabajando para la empresa, dark matches y de todo un poco, territorio de desarrollo. Y después de WrestleMania 20 se reúnen con Vincent Kennedy McMahon en su oficina por primera vez. Y están estos dos caballeros y entonces proponen ideas para trabajar con los Dudleys, para trabajar con los mejores tag team de aquel momento dado. Y Vince pues tenía sus anteojos puestos mirando, lo estaba mirando ese ojo, pero miraba a través de ellos, como él dice, como espiando un poco su alma. Y le dice, bueno, yo no quiero luchadores de equipo, ya tengo suficientes equipos, quiero singles wrestlers, ¿qué tienes para mí? Y él dice, bueno, aquí es que viene la oportunidad, y propone este personaje llamado Malachi, que era de la película Children of the Corn, con un toque religioso, este monstruo, un personaje complejo que eventualmente a Vince le llama la atención y dice, bueno, perfecto, nos gusta, pero ese personaje no va a poder llamarse Malachi, se va a tener que llamar Mordecai. Y él dice, bueno, tuve que aprender a decirlo como 5 veces, pero eventualmente funcionó, y después que tú me des un trabajo, a mí no me importa, o sea, el nombre. And then after that, Mordecai happened. So we saw a lot of vignettes. It was a hot thing in WWE at one point, and there were rumors that Mordecai was going to have, a singles match or a rivalry against none other than The Undertaker. Uh, what happened to Mordecai? What were the original plans? And is that story about, you know, that rivalry or possible rivalry with the Undertaker was correct, or was just rumors from the internet?
Oh no, it's 100% correct. And stuff. Let's just say I was a dumb young kid, and at the time, we ended up in a bar one night in Louisville, and basically there was another dumb young kid, I guess you could say, that decided, he wanted to get in a fight that night and wanted to grab a bottle. And I don't know if you noticed, but I have a soccer ball of a head. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's big. And my head kind of met his head, and so on and so forth. And yeah, let's just say, myself and WWE were getting sued and stuff, and it couldn't be done. I ruined an opportunity that was like no other, I guess.
So I'm going to translate that to Spanish. ¿Qué pasó? Me dice, pues sí, que sí es 100% correcto. Mordecai nace y sí iba a enfrentar a Undertaker, tenía todo listo, pero era un muchacho joven que no sabía mucho de la vida y pues decidió agarrar una botella aquel día, y el resto es historia. Simplemente menciona que, pues, vamos a decirlo de esta manera, fue una situación grande que eventualmente WWE pues terminó con una demanda, al igual que él, terminaron demandado. Pero pues la oportunidad de su vida se fue de las manos por una mala decisión que tomó en aquel momento dado. Pero sí, se iba a enfrentar a Undertaker en una rivalidad que iba a marcar la industria eventualmente. So I believe Fabricio has the next question, and it is about that moment. Fabricio, go ahead.
Thank you, Michael. So Kevin, why you were released from WWE on the first place back on 2005?
Okay, say it again.
Why you were released from your contract originally back in 2005?
Oh, why was I released?
That's correct, sir.
Basically because of that incident. It was just not good for business. I had to go rectify some situations, fix some things, and I didn't. I mean, basically, long story short, I didn't give trust to WWE. I didn't give trust to Vince and stuff like that. So, you can't, give somebody the world, especially with, facing the Undertaker or something like that. If, you can't act like a human being sometimes, you know what I'm saying?
So I'm going to translate that to Spanish. ¿Por qué dejan en libertad en aquel momento dado a Mordecai? Pues por el mismo incidente previamente mencionado. Era un joven, no tenía mucho conocimiento de la vida, y pues obviamente WWE dejó de confiar en él en aquel momento dado, y eventualmente pues ocurrió su despido de la empresa. But you were hired back by WWE. That happened on 2006, I believe. You were hired back with the company as part of that new version of the ECW. How do you felt getting your opportunity to redeem yourself and making your debut as this new character named Kevin Thorne that we all remember until this day? I mean, I saw Kevin Thorne and Ariel on the original version of ECW, and I thought, like, holy shit, that's a good character. That's something new we haven't had. That it is, to me, it was more than a vampire. It was a dark character that feed on blood, not only because he was a vampire, but because he was on the new version of the ECW. So how do you feel having that opportunity to redeem yourself?
I mean, blessed, 100%. I mean, you go from, kind of screwing up, and I mean, I paid my dues to get back to, to there, prove myself once again, stuff like that. I definitely, Tommy Dreamer at the time was, head of talent relations and stuff. I was still living in Louisville, so I was still going to OVW and, hey, what can I do to help? What can I do this? What can I, showing that, no hard feelings, everything else. I understand, man. I understand. I got to work to get back in good graces, to move forward. you know, kind of thing. And that's basically, you know, kind of what my sights were set on, you know, and stuff. And then, you know, hearing, you know, through Tommy is, hey, they're going to restart ECW. It's going to be on the Sci-Fi channel. There could be a great, you know, chance that, you know, they could need you again. You know, what do you think you could do? And I mean, I've always done, you know, kind of dark, like cool characters, stuff like that. I mean, I was like, I don't know, is there a vampire? You know, like, is there this? I mean, me, Gangrel, and Shelly would be awesome. I mean, you know, and that's kind of what was originally pitched. That's what I thought was originally going to happen. So
I'm going to translate that story to Spanish. Eventualmente en el 2006 lo firman de vuelta. Kevin Thorne nace. He was born as this new vampire character junto con Shelly Martínez, conocida como Ariel en aquel momento dado. Y es Tommy Dreamer quien le da la oportunidad, porque estaba a cargo de las relaciones de los talentos en aquel momento dado, con esta nueva marca de ECW, que tiene la oportunidad de mostrar su producto en la cadena Sci-Fi en aquel momento dado. Y él se sintió bendecido de poder tener la oportunidad de ganarse la confianza de todos nuevamente, y él estaba consciente de que iba a trabajar por la confianza de ellos nuevamente. So, Fabricio, I believe you have the next question, and I think it is so far the most important one of this conversation.
This the next question for me, and I'm sure for all of you, the big one, because Kevin, how do you feel to wrestling in front of over 80,000 of people in 4-File Arena in Detroit? So what do you recall from your match on WrestleMania 23?
Oh man, wow, you know, that's the thing that you know, to me, every wrestler strives to do. You know, no matter what, you want to be on a WrestleMania, you know, or you know, you want to, you know, be in a big event somewhere, you know, and stuff. You know, for me growing up, it was WrestleMania. You know, there were talks. I mean, you know, basically during the day and stuff like that, that they weren't going to have even enough time for a match. We were going to get scratched and not even be on it. So, I mean, you know, it's kind of, you know, pins and needles up until that point. You know, we got up to that point. Now all of a sudden we're on it. We're getting to go. You know, walking out, man, in front of that, you know, that many people. I mean, you don't understand, because so it's weird. In a normal arena, the way the sound is, it's always on top of you. But Ford Field's so big that the sound would go out and it would come back in. And it was so crazy, because you would do something, you'd be like, man, they didn't pop at all. They didn't do anything. And then all of a sudden, woof, you know, and it was like a 2-second delay, which was just so cool, you know, with everything. So, you know, I remember, you know, me and Monty Brown were writing partners and you know, and everything else, just having tears right before we went out, because, you know, this is what we worked for, you know, and stuff. And, you know, going out there and, you know, getting to do it with, you know, the originals, you know, Tommy, RVD, Sabu, you know, Sandman, all those guys. We had already worked them the previous week in Mexico for a couple, like, many days. And I mean, we were having killer matches down there. I mean, lighting the place up, having a great time, you know, which was so cool. And then, you know, a couple of days off, you know, in Detroit, and then we get to do the WrestleMania match. We knew that we were going to go out there and tear the house down, even though we had, you know, a little bit of time in there. It was still one of the coolest things ever. And then the follow, you know, 2 nights after that, we did the, you know, the big hardcore kind of blow off match in Fort Wayne. And I mean, you know, and had a just unbelievable time, you know, there too. You know, there's nothing better than working so hard to achieve it, but then working so hard with a group of guys that deserved it just as much as everybody did, you know, to create something we did.
Let me translate that to Spanish. Fabricio le pregunta sobre aquel momento en donde Kevin Thorne junto con el New Breed se enfrentaron a los ECW Originals, WrestleMania 23, más de 80,000 personas. Y él menciona que habían tantas luchas y había tan poco tiempo que el temor y el rumor backstage era que la lucha it was going to be scrapped out, le iban a sacar, le iban a eliminar de la cartelera completamente. Gracias a Dios no ocurrió y pudo la oportunidad de presentar y exponer su talento en WrestleMania. Y él menciona algo bien importante. En un field abierto, en aquel momento dado, en aquel estadio, el sonido salía y de repente entraba. Y entonces cada vez que ellos hacían algo, ellos como que, wow, no reaccionaron. Y a los 2 segundos era que venía el audio de vuelta otra vez por ahí con un poquito de delay. ¡Wow! Y la gente inmediatamente emocionado por aquel momento. Menciona que una semana antes lucharon juntos esta misma lucha en México, de hecho, y tienen la oportunidad de exponer su talento eventualmente en WrestleMania. 2 días después hacen la lucha extrema que todos recordamos en ECW, y simplemente el mismo Elijah Burke, el mismo Marty Brown, que era Marcus Corvón, el New Breed completo tuvieron la oportunidad de trabajamos juntos para esto, todos en conjunto, y fue bueno y parte de las mismas bendiciones de la vida poder llegar juntos al próximo nivel. Regarding ECW and their creative process, I mean, we've heard many things about WWE, SmackDown, NXT, and the whole brand itself, but not many has been known about what was happening backstage in ECW. Who were the producers of the matches, and how was your experience, you know, creatively with ECW?
ECW, I guess at the time was kind of like the bastard child of WWE. I mean, it just was. I don't think Vince wanted it to do much. He just needed another show. And then when it started to do well, and guys were working their butts off and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't know what was kind of going through his mind with that. I mean, when I started, Paul Heyman was in charge, which, I mean, one of the greatest brains in the business, but we went from that brain to Dusty Rhodes, which is, another one of the greatest brains in the business. So, with that, I mean, it was, unheard of as far as, the creative minds and stuff like that. And I mean, both with Paul and Dusty, there was never such a thing as a bad idea. They'd always hear you out, and then, either take that idea and run with it, or they would take that idea and make it better. Which was so cool. I got so many opportunities. I was wrestling, RVD on house shows, wrestling Tommy Dreamer on house shows. I mean, we had I started off with CM Punk, wrestling weeks and weeks and weeks with Punk on house shows, which was great. I mean, so as far as that goes, the some of the greatest house shows I don't think anybody ever saw, because WWE never promoted them, were some of the ECW house shows that we were doing out there, but just no one knew, because we'd be like, what was the budget for the advertising this week? We didn't even advertise. Oh, great. So people were supposed to know this is happening, but we made it work, and we did it, and stuff. And then, towards the end, you got guys like Bobby Lashley, in there, Matt Hardy, Christian. I mean, the list goes on. I mean, and stuff. I think that they probably could have made ECW NXT, but you didn't do that because Vince wanted to own NXT. He didn't want to say ECW. That's not his. So, NXT, there it is. So
I'm going to translate that to Spanish. In aquel momento,
I know that's a whole lot, man. I'm sorry.
No, it is incredible information, actually, because at least I didn't know that fact. ECW era en aquel momento dado el hijo bastardo de la WWE. No le daban promoción a los eventos en vivo. Tenían como un proyecto experimental que primero era Paul Heyman, a quien describe como uno de los mejores cerebros de la industria. Después Dusty Rhodes, otro de los mejores cerebros de la industria, quienes están construyendo esta nueva casa y esta nueva marca de la ECW. Pero pues Vince no le gustaba mucho promover otra marca que él no hubiese construido. Y eventualmente pues es que viene el downfall como tal de la marca. Él luchó contra CM Punk por muchas semanas en diferentes eventos, y los house shows, que era donde mejor oportunidad tenía que exponerse, como un RVD, con gente como Tommy Dreamer, como el mismo CM Punk, no le daban promoción a los shows de WWE, ECW, porque simplemente nadie sabe por qué. Era parte del trabajo, y es como él dijo, como el hijo bastardo, pero pues sí se divirtió, sí tuvo una excelente experiencia, y estuvo muy agradecido con la oportunidad. Fabricio, I believe this is your last question.
Yes, Michael. So Kevin, let's go to move on. Another wrestling company. I'm talking about TNA. So how was your experience wrestling for TNA?
It was good. I literally had gotten back from England the day before. There were talks they wanted to bring me in. One of my longtime friends, actually my son's godfather, Billy Gunn. I got to wrestle. I got to wrestle him. We had a great match. Got through the curtain. Sting was there watching. Sting thought it was great. Road Dogg thought it was great. A lot of other people thought it was great. I have no idea why they didn't, decide to use me. Terry Taylor thought it was fine. I don't know. It was kind of a one shot go in, go out deal. And that kind of the rest is history. It didn't work out. TNA is TNA. And stuff. They're getting a better and better product. With what they're doing. But yeah, for that time, it was a one shot deal. I mean, great group of guys down there. I mean, all those guys are either in AEW or WWE now, or still TNA. I mean, top notch guys. It was just one shot and done. So.
En aquel momento dado, Kevin Thorne llega de Inglaterra, de UK, llega a Estados Unidos y le llega esta oferta de TNA, lucha con el padrino de su hijo, con Billy Gunn en aquel momento dado. Y pues todo el mundo le gustó la lucha. Terry Taylor pensaba que estaba bien, todo el mundo pensaba que estaba bien, pero como que nunca lo llamaron de vuelta. Fue un one shot con TNA y pues TNA siguió siendo TNA. I also want to say something else in Spanish. Kevin Fertig tiene sus redes sociales y pueden seguirlo todo el mundo en este momento. Instagram @TheKevinFertig, Instagram @TheKevinFertig, Twitter @TheKevinFertig, Twitter @TheKevinFertig. Y de igual manera, para todos los promotores en Panamá, en Chile, en India, en Puerto Rico, donde quieran, que quieran adquirir los servicios de Kevin Fertig para firmas de autógrafos, para meet and greets, para diferentes actividades in stores, pueden contactarlo directamente en su booking email. Es kevinfertigrealtor@gmail.com. kevinfertigrealtor@gmail.com. Y de igual manera, si todo el mundo que está en el área de Indiana y donde él está viviendo y está trabajando, les interesa comprar una casa, un apartamento, una propiedad, este caballero es un cerebro del real estate business allí en donde está viviendo en estos momentos. Pueden buscarlo a través de ese mismo correo electrónico en kevinfertigrealtor@gmail.com y su website www.thechampishome.com, thechampishome.com, y ahí pueden encontrar todos los detalles. Before we go, it's been such an honor to have you here as our guest, but we want people to know how did what's happening with Kevin Thorne Mordecai these days. How did he ended up being this real estate genius? I mean, we saw some advertising. You are not selling $2 houses. You're selling $1 million houses, mansions, and you're the #1 in your state and region currently. So what's Kevin Fertig doing these days, and how has real estate business changed your life?
Man, real estate business has been amazing. It's kind of led from the wrestling business to here. It was like, what could I do, to kind of join forces. And that's kind of what I did. So I'll grab something real quick. But the one thing I did, man, I thought was pretty cool was, I had a belt made, and that's kind of, like, I think it's kind of an arena thing, it's, the champ is the ruler of the house, so that's kind of the way I presented this is, the champ is home. I mean, because who's better than the champ? No one. So that's got to be the owner of this, the house. I mean, it's his arena. I mean, he wants to drop elbows from his, chandelier down on his couch onto his wife. He can do it because it's his house kind of thing. So it's been fun, man. It's definitely a blast. Do I miss wrestling? Oh man, all the time. I miss the lights. I miss talking to guys like you, talking to fans, stuff like that. I get to do it on occasion, which is awesome, and stuff. But man, it's still kind of it's kind of changed a little bit. Like JR, you said it. It's about putting asses in seats. Well, now it's about putting people in houses, kind of thing. So it's a different house, but I like, saying I'm drawing pretty good. So.
I'm going to translate that to Spanish. Pasa directamente desde la industria de la lucha libre a real estate business, en donde le está yendo muy bien. No está vendiendo casas de $2, está vendiendo casas de 4 millones de dólares, mansiones, es lo que este hombre vende. Y es el mejor en su estado haciéndolo. Que si extraña la lucha libre, claro, dice que extraña las luces, extraña a la gente, extraña hablar con gente como nosotros, y extraña la industria, pero ya no es poner los traseros en las sillas o en las arenas, es poner los traseros en las casas, poner la gente en las casas, llevarlos y ayudarlos a construir su hogar para construir su futuro. Y claro, la está pasando muy bien. Sí extraña la lucha, pero obviamente está haciendo su carrera aparte y está siendo sumamente exitoso en este nuevo capítulo de su vida. Mr. Fertig, I can assure you, both Fabrizio and I have had a blast with you here today. Always grateful for the opportunity. Always wishing you the best of lucks on real estate, on the pro wrestling industry, and on all your life. And of course, thank you for the opportunity. The best of lucks, and let's hope to see you soon on meet and greets, virtual meet and greets, and hopefully in Puerto Rico sometime.
Definitely. Gracias. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.